Imagine a nation where elections trigger street battles, internet blackouts, and mass arrests. A government that labels protests as coup attempts. This isn't a scene from a movie. This is Tanzania today. A country once seen as a beacon of stability is now facing one of its biggest crises in decades. This is the story of disputed elections, deadly unrest, and a nation on the very edge. Today, we're diving deep into what's unfolding in Tanzania, where the government has banned all protests, shut down public transport, and ordered non-essential workers to stay home, all because of a highly controversial election. This is a developing story with massive political, human rights, and economic implications, not just for Tanzania, but for the entire region. Let's break it down. On October 29, 2025, Tanzania held its general election. The official results from the National Electoral Commission declared President Samia Suluhu Hassan the winner, with a staggering 97 to 98% of the vote. Her ruling party, Chama cha Mapinduzi, or CCM, which has dominated Tanzanian politics for decades, seemed to tighten its grip on power. But these results didn't arrive quietly. The election was plagued with controversy from the start. Major opposition parties were barred from even running. Key figures like opposition leader Tundu Lissu were arrested on treason charges earlier in the year, simply for calling for electoral reforms. These exclusions left many Tanzanians deeply skeptical about the legitimacy of the vote. Tensions were already boiling long before the official results were even announced. On election day and in the days that followed, protests erupted. The commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, became a flashpoint. Demonstrators took to the streets, challenging what they saw as a fundamentally unfair process. Videos quickly circulated online showing people confronting police, burning vehicles and polling stations, with clashes spreading through several neighborhoods. In response, the government's reaction was swift and heavy-handed. Authorities deployed police and military forces across the country, not just in Dar es Salaam, but also in the capital Dodoma and the city of Arusha. Curfews were declared. Public transport was halted as security forces locked down major urban centers. Then came the information blockade. The government imposed partial, near-nationwide internet shutdowns to control the flow of information and prevent protesters from organizing. The human cost of these clashes is a point of major contention. International rights groups and some opposition sources have estimated that hundreds, or even thousands, of civilians may have been killed in the crackdown. Other sources, including United Nations human rights experts, have confirmed at least some deaths, but have not been able to verify the higher figures. The truth is hard to find, especially when the press itself is under attack. Independent press organizations reported that journalists covering the unrest were threatened, arrested, or in some tragic cases, even killed during the clashes. This created a chilling climate of fear and censorship, making it nearly impossible to get a clear picture of what was happening on the ground. As the unrest continued, the government took several extraordinary and alarming steps. They banned all planned protests, labeling them illegal and potentially seditious acts. They ordered non-essential workers to stay home ahead of new demonstrations, effectively shutting down the economy. Troops and police were deployed to patrol eerily empty streets, erecting roadblocks near key government buildings. In a symbolic move, the government even canceled the National Independence Day celebrations. Public transport in major cities was shut down amid fears of renewed unrest. Government officials claim these measures are necessary to protect public safety and maintain stability. But critics, both inside and outside Tanzania, say this is nothing short of a massive crackdown on basic human rights and democratic freedoms. The main opposition parties, including Chadema, are not backing down. They have completely rejected the election results as illegitimate and are calling for a transitional government and new elections held under independent supervision. They are appealing to international bodies like the United Nations and African regional organizations to intervene and help oversee democratic reforms. These opposition leaders argue that the entire electoral process failed to meet even the most basic standards of transparency and fairness. They point to the banning of candidates, the arrests of political figures, and the internet shutdowns as clear evidence of systemic state-led suppression. And the world is taking notice. Human rights groups and foreign governments, including the United States, are now reviewing their relationships with Tanzania. They've cited deep concerns about the violence, the suppression of free speech, and the severe restrictions on religious and civic freedoms. Regional organizations, like the Southern African Development Community, have also criticized the election's conduct and called for thorough investigations into the alleged irregularities. As of right now, the streets in Tanzania's major cities remain heavily policed. Planned protests have been blocked or violently dispersed. Public transport is still limited, and many Tanzanians are staying home, caught between uncertainty and fear. The crisis is not just political anymore. It's having a real impact on the economy, on foreign investment, and on Tanzania's relationships with its neighbors. The entire situation is a pressure cooker. Analysts are watching closely, asking the big questions. Will renewed protests manage to rise up despite the crackdown? Will the government loosen its iron grip, or will it double down? And perhaps most importantly, will international pressure be enough to force meaningful, lasting reform? This is, without a doubt, one of the most serious political crises in contemporary Tanzanian history. What began as an election has morphed into a fundamental test of democracy, civil rights, and national stability for a country of over 60 million people. We'll be following this story as it develops. If you want to stay informed with updates on the situation in Tanzania, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. We want to hear from you, so drop a comment below with your thoughts. How can Tanzania move forward from this crisis? And what role, if any, should the international community play? Thanks for watching.